Hey guys, welcome to the channel. As you see in the thumbnail, what if Issei seduced by Akeno first and fell for her part 1. Before I start, please do support for more awesome content, and subscribe my channel and like this video. If you like to hear adult version of this and other stories, I'll give you link of my Patreon. Go support and follow the BLS91090 for writing that awesome fanfic, and also make sure to comment on this story. Link in the description. Let's start this video. A long and boring day at school, Issei Hayato stopped by the Occult Research Club. He wasn't needed there for any particular reason, but he felt a strange urge to go there. He opened the door and stepped in. It was quiet, and he didn't see anyone around. How there's nobody here? What's going on? He found this to be a bit odd. However, there was one person there. A beautiful young woman named Akeno Himejima emerged from another room and saw Issei standing in the doorway. "Hi, Issei-kun. I have some tea ready for you." She pointed to a cup of tea that was on the table in front of the couch. "Oh, that's okay. I'll take a hazy hemsai then." "Thanks." Akeno smiled. She and Issei waited for their order, and then took a seat nearby. When it was ready, Issei realized he was hungry after smelling the technically food in front of him. He was about to take a bite when his aerosenses went on full blast. He immediately looked up towards Akeno. She had already started eating the sausage. Taking her time, she took it in her and ate the outside sensually, savoring the flavor. She popped it out, leaving a string of saliva at the ready to consume. She took a dainty bite. The mayonnaise the sausage ate out unexpectedly and covered parts of her and s. "Oh my! What a naughty sausage! I'm a mess." Akeno noticed Issei's incredible gaze. "Issei-kun, you're drooling. If you're that hungry, you should just dig in." She smiled innocently. Just dig in. Issei's eyes turned into squiggly spirals and he couldn't control himself any longer. Steam blew out of his nostrils as he attempted to do exactly as she said. "Oops, I forgot the napkins. Be right back." Akeno left her seat, leaving Issei to smash into an empty chair. Issei rubbed his head. "Ouch, so close, damn it." At the amusement park, Issei was laying down the plan of ultimate fun to Akeno. "How about we start with the log flume ride? Then we'll have the whole day to dry off." All Issei really wanted was to see Akeno and Sticky, but Akeno saw something else that caught her eye. "Look, the bumper cars. I never got to try them before. Can we do those first, please?" Issei smiled. "All right, you win. I have to warn you though, I'm a pro. So watch out." It turned out that Issei had underestimated Akeno's skills at bumper cars. She was pulling some insane maneuvers and using seemingly impossible physics to not only rout all attackers targeting but also smash into Issei's car, sending him spinning every time. When their turn ended, Issei could barely walk straight from being so damn dizzy. "Wow, Akeno-san, you sure kicked everyone's ass back there." He chuckled while scratching the back of his head. Akeno smiled at him. That seemed innocent enough, but there was obviously more to her smile. She then noticed the go-karts, and she appeared to be interested in them. Issei saw her looking at them and was overcome with mortal fear. How about we not do anything that involves wheels?" It was too late. Fortunately, Issei found a way to save himself. "Check out the tandem seats. Isn't that a romantic?" Akeno loved the idea. "You're so thoughtful, and Issei-kun." He was quick to take the driver's seat. "It would be better if I drove. You know, like taking you around town and stuff, but on a tiny track instead." Akeno smiled and hugged him. "You're the best." "Ehehe, I sure am." Issei got all dumbfaced. As an added bonus, Akeno's buster were pressing against his head. When the green light appeared, they darted off immediately. They were focused and determined to win, which they did in fact do, using ultimate teamwork. The only thing Issei could think about the entire time was how glad he was that Akeno had built-in airbags, or in this case, fun bags. Akeno's eyes lit up immediately. She pointed towards the largest coaster in the park. "This is the new ride everyone is talking about. Can we go?" Issei figured he couldn't say no. Piece of cake. It's kid stuff." He gulped at the sight of the coaster ride. They soon approached it, the almighty ride of epic beauty. The enormous sign at a ridiculous height read Demonizer Destructo Ride of Doom. It was truly a beast of steel, towering at around 200 feet tall, traveling the mile of track at over 130 miles per hour. It earned the title, that's for sure. Looking closer at the ride, it featured crazy twists and insane breakneck turns, as well as death-defying drops. Why yeah, I think we should go somewhere else. Issei was quick to justify his yellow-bellied belly aching. We just ate not too long ago and boy, do I get sick easy and… Akeno interrupted him. If you throw up on me, I'll kill you. Akeno smiled as innocently as possible, which only made the statement even more horrifying. She took his hand in her own and dragged him to the ride's line, which wasn't too awfully long. Issei would learn the way exactly why the line wasn't long. The actual coaster ride was even worse than it looked. Much worse, actually. The only saving grace was Akeno's tremendous assets being pushed up against him. They went left and right and all around. It was this wondrous gift that allowed Issei to survive the ride without losing his lunch. Everything was a blur to Issei during the ride, and all he could do was look to his right to see Akeno just having the time of her life. When the ride was finally over after 10 minutes, everyone who got off had their hair thoroughly messed up. Issei could barely breathe or say anything. I don't want to do that ever again. Ever. Aw, don't you want to go again? Look, there's no line. Akeno was not really all that shaken up by the ride. No. Oh, please, no. I beg of you. Issei fell to the ground, completely and utterly exhausted. Later on, after Issei had recovered from the ride of doom, they both headed on to the movie theater. So, is there a movie you've been wanting to see for a while? Or does it not really matter? Issei was looking at poster ads on the wall. Oh, I'm fine with anything really. Just as long as I'm with you. Akeno giggled. Issei blushed somewhat. That sort of innocent cuteness hit him where it counts. If anything's fine with you, then he decided on something that looked romantic to keep the good mood going. He went to the ticket counter. 2 for the most recent showing of Schmoozy Romance F number 5, please. Akeno clearly liked the idea. Great choice. I see, Kun. Issei's ego got the better of him in that moment. Yeah, I guess I'm pretty awesome. Akeno pulled on his arm. Come on, it'll start showing any minute. Whoa, slow down. Issei had no choice but to be dragged along. Unfortunately, there were very few lights in the main hallway and it was difficult to read the old-fashioned signs in front of each theater. It would sure be for ordinary humans, at least. Man, it sure is dark in here. Good thing we can see better thanks to our demon powers. Issei had a good point there. He wasn't really paying attention, so he ended up of the wrong theater by accident. He realized it was the wrong one when he saw a Super Saiyan warrior battling a cat-like being in the middle of a big city. He couldn't take his eyes off the screen. That guy just flew through 5 buildings, holy shit. Hey, no talking, you prick! A random dude yelled from the crowd at Issei. Quite embarrassed at this, though intrigued by the battle taking place before his eyes, Issei rushed out of that theater. As he entered the correct one, Akeno had already found an empty aisle row. It wasn't the best, but the rest of the place was pretty packed. Oh, there you are. What happened to you, silly? Oh, it was nothing. Issei laughed nervously. He looked around at the other people there. Geez, didn't know there were so many couples around. Actually, I don't see a lot of girls here. Oh no! What if this is one of those gay movies? Something was definitely off. They sat down next to each other, with Akeno on Issei's right side. She had pulled the armrest up so she could lay her head on Issei to watch the movie. Issei's worries vanished. He was ready for some romance. The lights dimmed, the patrons hushed, and the movie began. A brutal scene of gore and blood played out on the big screen. A machete-wielding super beast had his fill of promiscuous teenagers and proceeded to slice up the rest of the town. What the Issei stand up and was about to get up and leave. Sure, this is the best part. Akeno sat him down and whispered. Have you ever realized that you can always know what's coming up in a cheesy horror F? She giggled softly and snuggled closer to him. Once again, Issei had no more complaints. The power of horror, could it surpass romance? Several minutes had passed, and Issei finally decided to make a move. He quickly pressed his on Akeno's left. He made an excuse to do that in the dark while everyone else was watching the movie. In response to this, Akeno smirked lightly and gave Issei on the. Issei was surprised by this, and his eyes widened. However, he didn't resist and ed Akeno back. You're as soft, thanks Issei-kun. Akeno had a naughty-looking face. She moved her hand down Issei's pants and started to jack him off as she could. Holy s shit. This isn't awesome. Issei closed his eyes in. He slipped his Akeno's. Akeno suddenly broke the and pulled her hand out of Issei's pants. I'm sorry, I don't know what came over me. She reached into her purse for a handkerchief. Oh no, it was my fault, I'm sorry. I should have said something. Issei had a look of disappointment on his face. Damn it! I was so close. However, he was becoming a man, and he wasn't going to give up that easily. Maybe we could continue this later after the movie? Akeno gave him a sweet smile. Or we could leave right now. If we're going to have fun together, let's go to your house. That works too. Issei got super excited and ran out of the theater quickly with Akeno. In Issei's bedroom, Akeno and Issei were making out and rubbing their hands all over each other. Akeno was wearing some red lingerie that she had bought earlier, while Issei had on only his boxers. Akeno cuddled Issei and ed him passionately. She was getting really excited. Issei continued to her deeply. This is so damn awesome. I'm making out with Akeno-san, for crying out loud. Out of nowhere, Akeno lightly pushed Issei backwards on the bed, and she climbed on top of him. You ready to have some more fun, Issei-kun? She gave him her horny face. Issei had a big goofy look on his face while he nodded in response. He admired Akeno's beauty as he waited for her next moves. Akeno smiled back and entered the shower, enjoying the hot water hitting her body. It feels really nice. Later at school, things seemed pretty normal. Some students skipped class, while others around for fun and would get in serious trouble. Something that did seem a bit strange and out of place was that fact that Issei and Akeno were walking to school together, while holding hands. Unknowingly to either one of them, Rias was watching what has just taken place. Issei woke up the next morning on a cloud. Not literally, though. It was just a soft bed with some even softer next to him. He stretched out a bit and said good morning to the girls, so to speak. Nice to see you two today, hee. Issei-kun, my face is up here. Akeno giggled. She was already awake and had taken Issei's usual demeanor lightly. Akeno-san. Issei was startled and looked up to face Akeno. Didn't know you were up, Akeno ed Issei's. I've been awake for a while now, Issei-kun. The truth is, I couldn't really sleep well. Akeno had a worried expression. Huh? Why? Issei was curious. Rias, she saw us yesterday. Akeno's face looked quite concerned. And she asked to see you as soon as you were up. Oh, is that all? I'll go see her now, and Issei's eyes nearly exploded open. Dowaha? At the Occult Research Club, Issei carefully opened the door and saw Rias at her desk. You wanted to see me, Bucho? Issei made sure he didn't make a wrong move. Rias had a very serious look on her face. I did. With her arms crossed, she continued on. I saw you and Akeno last night. Her tone was emotionless. Oh shit. I'm dead now for sure. Issei gulped and couldn't stop shaking. Well, you see, Rias got up from her chair and walked over to face Issei directly. I'm not that upset with you. It's just that I thought I would be the one to take away your virginity. She smiled sadly. Issei blinked rapidly. I see, well, I can understand that. We were about to do it a few times before, but we always got interrupted. I'm sorry. He looked down at the ground. Don't be sorry, Issei. I know that Akeno loves you, as do I. So when will it be my turn exactly? Ria's face turned a bit more wry. If she gets to have you, then I want you as well. Issei was speechless. Whenever you want me, just ask. He had a big goofy grin. Maybe my harem will finally be realized. I have an idea. If you're up for it, that is. Rias smiled sweetly to Issei. Issei was pretty excited, but he had a bad feeling about this. Sure, anything's fine with me. He regretted saying that. Oh shit! This could be trouble. Rias made bodily contact and pressed close to him so she could whisper in his ear. A few seconds later, she stepped back and gave him that stare that he couldn't bear. So, what do you think, Issei? Threesome? Issei couldn't believe it was real. Hey, are you serious? Are we really doing that for really reals? He had imagined the worst. Like you, me, and Akeno-san, the three of us getting familiar with each other's business? Not like three dudes or some shit? He wanted to desperately confirm that indeed, it was as he had dreamed. I wouldn't do that to you, Issei. Rias flipped her hair. I'm serious. It's the only way to make things even and fair. She sighed and thought to herself. Though all's fair in love and war, isn't it? Wahoo! Issei jumped for joy and hit his head on the ceiling. Youch! Ah, who cares? I'm gonna get twice the pussy, yeah. He bounced around the room for a while, his energy seemingly boundless. Alright, that's enough now. You're going to damage the furniture. Rias calmed him down, but couldn't help but giggle a little. You should prepare yourself, Issei. At school in the locker area, Issei spotted Zenobia nearby. Hey Zenobia, how's it hangin'? Good morning, Issei-san. Zenobia Korda smiled at him. You came here just in time. She had exactly what Issei needed, or at least, what she thought he needed. I have this covered. Let's use these. She pulled out tons of condoms from her pocket. They consisted of a variety of different colors. There was so many that they all dropped from her hands to the floor. Ah, pardon me. Zenobia stooped down to grab the scattered anti-pregnancy devices. She looked up at Issei. Which color would you like? I recommend the red, as it increases one's reproductive drive and performance. Issei shot steam out of his nose. However, he had a rare moment of clarity, believe it or not. Wait a minute. Didn't you want to make a baby? A condom kinda gets in the way of that, you know. Zenobia edged her head to one side. What? She had absolutely no clue. My research indicates that these condom devices are a must for safe reproduction. It dawned on Issei that this girl doesn't actually know how it works. Well, you see, that's true, but technically, Zenobia became impatient. We will have, and makes babies. Now hurry up and wear these. Zenobia said while she unhooked her bra and exposed her large without hesitation. Her were large and soft. Leave it to me. If it's for you, Issei, I will remove them any time. She was about to remove her pants next. Issei could barely resist, despite being in the locker room. I'll do it raw. Issei was about to make his move, but the school bell rung. Damn it, I can't afford to be late again. He handed Zenobia back the condoms. We'll have to continue this awesomeness later. Go and talk to Bucho, she has a plan for tonight. See ya. He suddenly ran off. Zenobia looked confused. A plan? Of what sort? I wonder. She had a weird smile. This time, I will definitely have Issei's children. Later on that day, Issei, Matsuda, and Motohama were hanging out at Issei's house. Hand over the controller, it's my turn now. Matsuda was wrestling with Motohama over a PS3 controller. No way, that was a cheap shot. I demand a rematch. Motohama refused to give it up after losing to Issei, badly. Issei held his own controller and laughed nonsensically. Bwahahaha. I am the ultimate fighting champion. HRRGGH. He stood up and flexed, showing off not all that much, really. Matsuda had finally pulled the controller away from Motohama and eagerly mashed the start button. You better watch out, bitch. My fighting skills are coming to town, we'll see about that. Issei chose his favorite character, a big muscly dude in a camo tank top. Power trumps all. Matsuda, in a surprising move, picked a slender yet voluptuous female character. Ho ho. You forget, sir, that I know your true weakness, and no, it can't be. Issei couldn't unglue his eyes from the alluring figure. Must fight, must defend. Rias, his gorgeous master, was hugging onto Issei's right arm as she slept. In a half-working brain sleep state, Issei rolled around in the bed, Rias going with him as she slept soundly. He was now lying on top of her, his sleeping face firmly lodged in between her nude bust. Bucho. Rias had awoke next, and smiled at Issei on her. She wrapped her own arms around him, ing his head before allowing herself some more time to sleep with Issei. It's my healing source to sleep by sinking my face in that voluptuous épée. Ah, Bucho's épée. Ah, Bucho's épée. Issei drooled to himself as he slept some more. A bit later, they both awoke again. Truthfully, though, he didn't want to move because his master's scent was pleasant and relaxing, and the softness which enveloped him was something he didn't want to give up just yet. He still had difficulty believing that he actually had with his master Bucho. He never could have imagined that it could happen to him. Ah, Bucho, thank you for coming into my life, Issei thought happily. Yuen and Rias said erotically and rolled off of him. I see what time it is, Rias asked sleepily. Issei glanced over at his alarm clock. About 7:45. Good, we don't have to get up just yet. Come here. She smiled at him. Issei scooted closer to her, and she pulled him into her arms. You were amazing last night. My legs feel like jelly, Rias said as she nuzzled his. Why, you were incredible as well, Bucho, even though it was your first time, Issei complimented. Rias' face approached his, and they overlapped each other. Though was much longer than usual, and they ed while doing it more gently. You are my most adored servant. And I have no intention of letting you go, ever. Because I make you very happy? Every member of my peerage makes me happy in some way. But you make me happiest, she answered and cuddled him. Issei smiled, knowing that there was more to it than that. Rias ed him, which he returned. Did you enjoy my body, Issei? Rias asked when they parted. Yes, I sure did. Is my body better than Akeno's and Zenovia's? Yes, Issei answered honestly. Rias then overlapped with his again. Rias smiled and cuddled her servant in her arms. I see. I love you more than anyone else, she whispered in his ear. I love you too, Bucho. But the ing didn't stop there. They shared endless in that bed together. Rias, my Bucho. We must be together forever. Be it hundreds, thousands, 10,000 years later, we must be together. Afterwards, and after breakfast had been served, Issei went to the upstairs bathroom. The door was already slightly open. He made his way, but someone beat him to it. Ah, Issei-san? The cute and innocent Asia Argento was sitting on the toilet. Ah! She kicked him out, quite literally. Issei's face left the doorway and the rest of his body followed. He hit the wall and rolled sideways down the stairs, hitting each step on the way. Ow! Ow! Ow, my spleen! Ow! My kidneys! Ow, my trachea! He eventually ended up in the living room. Rias was sipping tea with a visitor. Oh hey Issei, we were just talking about you. She noticed his messed up appearance and apparent misery. HM? You look terrible. You should really fix your hair before greeting a house guest. Water and immediate medical services. Issei just barely managed to say those words, then he passed out from his afflictions. When he awoke an hour or so later, he found himself looking at the living room ceiling. Ugh, what happened? Wakey, wakey. Asia had his head in her lap. She smiled at him from above. Asia, Issei suddenly remembered the incident that caused this whole mess. Sorry about earlier. I wasn't paying attention. He didn't dare tell her what sort of shenanigans led him to that point. Asia's S flushed a light red. She turned away, embarrassed. I forgive you. And besides, I think that Issei was paying attention to her. To her legs, that is. Oh man, her creamy thighs are pressing against the back of my head. They're so smooth. This is awesome. Issei-san. I know that look. Stop thinking about that stuff. Asia was about to drop some bold commands. And do it instead. She stood up abruptly. Why? Issei fell to the floor. Did I really just hear those words? That's alright, Issei-san. I know all about what has happened with you. And I can't be left out, you see? Asia blushed beyond belief. Ah, Jez, what have I gotten myself into? Oh well, I've been on a roll recently, so might as well keep the ball rollin'. Issei rubbed the back of his head, trying to act innocent. You see, Asia didn't let him finish. I'm not going to repeat myself. She closed her eyes and grabbed Issei's hand, dragging him back up the same stairs that had nearly taken his life earlier. Up in Issei's room, Issei wasted no time to remove any clothing he or Asia had on. I want to bear Issei-san's child, she cried to herself. Skin as white as snow was being revealed. Once they were ready to commence, Issei laid Asia on his bed and he climbed on top of her. All right, time to give Asia some D. Asia blushed madly but smiled as well. I'm ready for you, Issei-san. Her voice was soft and gentle. She tried to hide her shyness, but there was no denying it. As she finished her words, Asia's face drew near. She became bold and slowly came towards him with her forward. Issei nodded and had to keep his cool. He leaned over and eyed Asia on her deeply. Asia blushed even more, but accepted the. She eyed him back cutely. After they made out for about a minute, Issei slowly went down below and put his face between Asia's legs, ing her like there was no tomorrow. Asia eyed quite loudly from this action. Aha, Issei-san. It's so good. Juice was coming out of her already. Issei-san, please, let's make love. Rias-senpai, Akeno-senpai, and Zenobia-san have done it, and I can't help but to feel envious of what they did and their confidence. I want to do it too, to feel your love. So please, Issei-san, would you? Asia pleaded to him, her emerald eyes on the verge of tears as she made a cute pleading expression. Issei couldn't help but find it very irresistible. Of course, Asia, Issei replied, giving her a confident smile. Asia actually said she wants to have my child. From this response, Asia quickly embraced Issei. Once he knew she was ready, Issei bent over and pushed the of his against Asia's virgin. Whoa, I remember, don't hold back or anything, okay? Asia blushed like a tomato but smiled brightly at him. Penetration finally commenced. Issei pushed the head in first, but slowly, and then the rest of the shaft followed. It feels so good. Asia couldn't stop quivering. She was a virgin no more. It's so big, don't move yet. Issei did as he was told. However, he was too horny to wait for too long. So once Asia was more comfortable, Issei began to move Asia's. Asia, I'm starting in now. Asia's eyes were wide in anticipation. Oh, okay. Issei eyed in and out of her, slowly at first, and then a bit faster a short while later. She's so warm, and so, after they both recovered, they shared a loving together. Issei put his in her, and they eyed more passionately and deeply. His hands wrapped around her, as he eyed her more. Asia eyed Issei back, and they did it more passionately. Asia eyed through the as Issei eyed as well. More Asia mumbled as they shared another, but this one was and more passionate. Then they split apart again, breathing heavily. More Asia said as they eyed again. They continued Their s were all over each other, trying to taste each other, rubbing her body to his body. After ing at each other's for a while, they parted from there for air. They still looked at each other in the eyes. I love you, Issei-san. So very much. Love you too, Asia. They shared and snuggled in peace in each other's arms. Feeling refreshed from the recent nightly escapade, Issei prepared for a relaxing day with Asia at the town's shopping center. Let's go in here next, Issei-san. Asia ran ahead into the third multi-level department store of the day. Issei trailed behind, huffing and puffing under the weight of what felt like a metric ton of clothes. Who knew all this frilly shit could weigh so much? I'm dying over here. Always the gentleman, or at least trying to be, he held off on the complaining. I'm coming, my dear sweet Asia, anything for you. There was also another reason. As Asia entered various clothing stores, she tried a variety of outfits. Some cute, some elegant, some downright why. The steam that came out of Issei's ears and nostrils that day could have generated power for his whole house. The most reliable renewable energy source is the stuff that happens between men, and, after a few more long hours, the torturous was at an end, and so was Issei's stamina. The exact same thing could be said of him the previous night, but things would not end as smoothly today. As they were making their way home, Issei's vision was blocked. Slow down, Asia, I'm like a legless turtle right now. He bumped into someone ahead of him and fell backwards, spilling all the bags. Oh. Damn it all. Can't you see I'm walking here, jackass? A big, tough-looking bastard with a mohawk and several tattoos stared him down. He seemed pissed and ready to blow. The veins popped from his head and arms. Suddenly, he spoke. "Hey, you're the funny guy who says all the funny things. Hey, funny guy, say some funny things." He smiled and helped Issei up. "But what? You know me?" Issei was quite confused. Asia seemed a bit frightened by this man, so she hid behind Issei. The big guy laughed. "Sure. I heard a lot about you from your nerdy pals. I help them handle problems from time to time." Issei thought it would be best to go along with it. "Matsuda and Motohama? Yeah, those guys are real real long-time friends of mine." He thought about something funny to say. He's not exactly a stand-up comedian, and being put on the spot is difficult. Let's see, a horse walks into a bar and says, "Hey, watch where you're going." The bar then says, "Whoa, a talking horse." And the horse says, "Whoa, a talking bar." Tada? The big guy stood silent for a good long minute. And then he bursted out laughing. "Bwahahaha." He slapped Issei on the back. "They weren't kidding about you, kid. That was hilarious." He laughed all the way to the bank. "I have absolutely no idea what just happened." Issei just shrugged and gathered up the bags from the floor. "Asia, let's head home." He gave her a. Asia smiled and edged Issei back. She held on to him. Thank goodness. Next day in the afternoon, Issei relaxed face down on the couch at home. What he didn't see was that the visitor from yesterday was back again. Oh my! The guest was none other than the beautiful Grayfia Lucifuge. "I must say, Rias, your servant is quite bold," Rias sighed. "I have to deal with this every day, you know." Meanwhile, Issei continued to bury his head in what he thought were the seat cushions. Hey Rias, did you do something to the couch? It's softer than usual. And kinda warm. Smells nice, too. I see, that's enough. Why don't you stop for a second and realize what you're doing? Besides embarrassing me in front of my sister-in-law, that is. Rias put her foot down. Grayfia chuckled and patted Issei's head. "Looks like you have your hands full as well." She was indeed both powerful and influential, to a degree that could rival the best, but she didn't seem to mind at all. Issei slowly opened his eyes and tilted his head up. "Gigi Grayfia-san?" He popped up like a wound spring and saluted at attention. "It's to have you visit my humble abode, ma'am." Grayfia smiled warmly. "No need to be so formal. You're practically part of the family, so just call me by name. In any case, did you enjoy my lap?" Issei didn't relax his posture. "Yes, ma'am. It was very comfortable, ma'am." A teaspoon hit him in the temple. Ouch. What the dash? Rias was on her feet after interrupting him with silverware missiles. "This is just inexcusable. I apologize for his inappropriate actions." She bowed her head. Grayfia stood up herself. "Nonsense. I wish Surzek-sama were half as forward. Like I told you yesterday, he's been busy lately and I've been neglected. To be honest, I'm a little jealous." She looked somewhat depressed. They had talked for a long time about it, so Rias decided that now would be as good a time as any. "I understand. Just for today, I will allow my pawn to serve you in any way you deem fit." "That's a kind offer, but are you sure? And what about Issei-san's opinion on the matter?" Despite the minor objections, Grayfia was ready to accept. "Yes, I'm sure. I'm doing this for you. As for Issei, I couldn't pay him enough to refuse. Isn't that right?" Rias expected a confirmation. Issei gave her one, albeit less enthusiastic than anyone expected. "I didn't know it was like that between you two. If I can help out in any way, I will. As long as Rias is okay with it, then it's settled. For today only, you are the acting servant of Grayfia Lucifuge and will attend to her every wish." Rias would be free of him for a little while, but she couldn't help this strange feeling in her. Grayfia was quite pleased. "I promise to return him as soon as I'm finished. Far be it from me to keep a Gremry and her peace apart for long." She bowed in gratitude, and then turned to her new temporary servant. "Let us go to Surzek-sama mansion. It is spacious and private. Have I been there before? I feel like I have." Issei couldn't quite remember. "Oh well, let's roll." He got out of the teleportation circle and appeared the mansion a moment later. Here we are. Welcome to our countryside retreat. It is separate from the Gremry Manor and for personal use only. Grayfia allowed him to take in the sights. The ceiling for the reception chamber was high, coming together in a pristine white dome. The entire mansion was pure white with gold accents. This allowed the relatively low light emitted from the dim crystal chandelier and dotted candelabras to flood the cavernous edifice. As an aesthetic contrast, the wooden furniture and railings were of an ebony wood, polished to a mirror shine to further accentuate the highlights. Issei's nostrils were visible as his head turned up to appreciate this luxurious palace. Whoa, impressed? I'm glad. No expense was spared. Part of my duty to Surzek-sama as the head maid is to make sure that the mansion remains presentable. Grayfia revealed her plan. For the better part of the day, your task is to assist the maids in tidying the place up. You're a strong boy, aren't you? You can lift, carry, move, and hold all the heavy things. Do it well, and there might even be a reward for you later on. She gave him a sly, flirtatious wink. The maids excelled in their jobs and didn't need any help. But in typical fashion, Grayfia didn't want to seem needy, so she made him work for it. Issei turned into a steam engine again. I'm on it like a horny hornet. Using his limitless arrow power, he practically flew around the mansion. He would have made out with the maids, but he was too busy dusting busts to squeeze the other kind. In any case, his true desires would be fulfilled soon. In record time, he reported back and saluted again. Issei Hayate has returned from cleaning up this dump. Mission success. Done already? Good boy. Here's a treat for you. Grayfia fed a bite-sized cookie to her pet pawn. Woof. Issei caught it with his and scarfed it down. Hey, wait a minute, this has raisins in it. My apologies. They are Surzek-sama's favorite. Grayfia didn't say that it was no ordinary confection. What you really ate is a powerful demon aphrodisiac. The rest was true, however. She chuckled to herself. My, you sure worked up a sweat. There's a private bath in each master bedroom that you're free to use if you like. Issei got a weird look on his face. He started to feel hot and his vision was getting blurry. Yeah, I think I could use a cold shower. He climbed up the steps toward the east wing of the mansion where one of the identical master bedrooms was located. He knew where everything was more or less now that he helped clean the whole place. He quickly threw off his clothes and left them sprawled on the floor. He hoped that a cooling splash would calm the burning in his loins, but alas, it proved useless. Oh man, this is bad. Issei Jr. wants to say hello to the world. Well, no choice then. I'm just gonna have to rub one out in Rias brother's house while Grayfia-san is waiting for me. Damn it all. Issei also thought back on the onsen event that happened between him and Grayfia. Is everything all right in there? Grayfia's voice was heard outside the translucent door to the bath area. Issei looked over, panicked. Why yeah, all good. Nothing or any thaiboa? The door slid open and Grayfia stepped, the bath towel barely covering her. I hope you don't mind if I scrub your back for you. Why yes, no maybe? Issei was transfixed on Grayfia's voluptuous figure. Grayfia didn't waste any time getting some skinship going. No need to be shy. I do this for Surzek-sama all the time. She moistened a sponge and knelt behind him, pressing her towel against his back. Issei said agape. This would be to resist under normal circumstances, but as things were now, it would be impossible. D-damn. Surzek-sama gets this every day? That lucky man. I'll never forgive him. What's the matter, Issei-san? You've been quiet for some time. Am I not scrubbing enough? Grayfia was about to get what she was asking for. Issei turned around and pushed her down in one quick motion, sending all the towels flying and exposing Grayfia's big bear. Both her S and areola were beautiful. I can't hold back anymore. I'm digging in. He decided to have some fun with those large, soft fun bags. He grabbed both of the amazing in front of him and started ing greedily on her left. He played with her right breast, squeezing and fondling it. Issei-san, you dog, stop this at once. On. Grayfia's DS and the satisfaction on her face broke any small illusion of resistance. Issei continued to have fun with Grayfia's unbelievable Motorboating them, fondling them, ing them, everything you could imagine. They're so soft, so elastic, so damn amazing. I love them so much. Grayfia enjoyed everything that was happening. They love you too, Issei-san. She giggled softly. Issei then pressed Grayfia's together, and on both of her s at once. He fed his from one to the other rapidly. His, yes. Just like that. Grayfia ed in delight. Issei went to town on every crevice of Grayfia's bosom. He pressed his s strongly into her s, pressing them partially into her areolas. Grayfia edition. What's gotten into you all of a sudden? The question came from surprise and not from dis. Issei snapped out of it. Sorry. Was that too? Grayfia threw her arms around his neck. I didn't tell you to stop. Hot damn! Issei devolved back into an arrow animal. He continued to and play with Grayfia's for another minute. Once finished, he was ready for some braver action. In an interesting move, he straddled her 69 style. He slid his between those inviting mounds from the top. They enveloped him fully. Damn, this feels incredible. At the other end, Issei got to work on her, ing it vigorously and ing her with a rapid-fire side-to-side technique. Rel on. Yes, right there. Grayfia held her together and closed her eyes. She opened them slightly and saw Issei's balls swinging back and forth in front of her face. She pressed her against his balls and on them to provide added stimulation. Shit. Issei was shocked at the new sensation that Grayfia added in. It wasn't enough to stop him, and he ate her large like there was no tomorrow. This is ugh. It's going through my brain like a freight train. He continued the tit session for several more minutes. Grayfia rolled Issei's balls in her, and on them tenderly. She pulled away to ask a question. Does it feel good, Issei-san? Her voice was almost too high for words. Issei could only nod at this point. He was now nearing his limit and breathing heavily while vigorously banging Grayfia's. He did have to make one announcement, however. I'm gonna blow. He erupted with tremendous force between her fantastic, keeping his nice and in them until he ran completely dry. He then fell off to the side after he was done. Grayfia squeezed her together to catch as much of it as she could. A side effect of the aphrodisiac drug was a vastly increased amount of semen, and it really showed. Naughty boy, now I'm all dirty again. The sticky fluid stretched between her. She scooped some up with her s and ate it. I haven't tasted this in a while. I hope you're not thinking of stopping now. My switch has been flipped, so to speak. It's impossible. I've never so much in my life. I can't possibly. Issei's small soldier was ready for duty again. What? This can't be. I knew something was off about all of this. What did you put in that damn cookie earlier? Grayfia sat up and tried to act cute, with a wide grin on her face. Did I do something wrong? Why you? Issei tried to stand up. Whoa! He slipped on a bar of soap and knocked himself out cold. Good job, Issei. When he opened his eyes again, Issei was on a king-sized bed in a bathrobe. The effects of the drug had worn off. He was now feeling something down below that felt absolutely fantastic. Wait a minute. He lifted the covers. Grayfia was underneath, ing away happily. She paused when she was discovered and instead stroked his with her hand, while fondling his balls at once. Good, you're awake. That was quite the fall you had. That sturdiness, if yours is a good quality in a man. Her lecture lost much of its effect considering her current activities with his nether regions. Issei was enjoying her soft but firm grip on his shaft as well as her careful manipulations of his family jewels. I don't think you're off the hook. Why you drugged me? I shouldn't have done that. I apologize. Grayfia was earnest in her apology, but that didn't mean she was gonna stop. I was afraid you would refuse otherwise. She continued to stroke his in a smooth motion. Issei couldn't stay mad at her. Grayfia-san, he added the delightful feeling he was receiving. He suddenly grabbed her by the shoulders. There's no way I'd refuse. All you had to do was ask and I'd be all over you. Actually, I wanted to do this ever since I first saw you, Issei-san. Grayfia was happy to hear that. She gave his one last good ing, then she let go of it. She laid down on her back, inviting him to the big reward. Come here and do what you do best. Issei's steam powers activated and he leaped into action. Ah, yeah! I can't wait to get started. He climbed on top of her. Wait! Grayfia covered her with her hand. Please understand, this is for Seduce-sama only. You may my other entrance. She blushed for the first time all day. Issei was disappointed, but he respected her wishes. If that's what you want, I'll do it. He put the of his against her butt. To his surprise, it slid in smoothly. He pushed in further. On slowly, please, if you say so. Issei grabbed her thighs for leverage and began pumping. This feels good. It's okay, you can go faster now. She wasn't new to this, but it had been a while. Issei went faster and… damn! He felt each crease wrap around him, offering a fantastic sensation. Wow, she really knows how to end up. Grayfia was now enjoying it fully. On! Keep going, Issei-sama. Mir! She panted heavily. I can feel you twitch me. Are you close? Why, yeah, I'm about to. Grayfia had been close to orgasm, but not quite there. She was still frustrated and did a poor job hiding it. Issei laid on top of her, supporting himself on his arms. I can tell that wasn't enough for you. Looks like only one thing will work. Please let me do it, he begged her. I remember what you said earlier, but neither of us are satisfied this way. He leaned down and ate her. You know, I also love, Grayfia put in his. You don't have say it. She knew he meant it, and that she wanted it. She gave in to her desires. I'll let you, she fidgeted and blushed heavily. Really? That's great. I can't wait to get started. Issei was again. He stayed on top of her and rubbed his on her, teasing her. Grayfia pulled Issei closer to her and gave him a. After pulling away, she praised him. You really are a fascinating boy, Issei-san. She ate him. You're an open book and a gentle soul, to be sure. She ate him again. I've met a lot of devil over the years, but none quite, she ate him, like you. When your mind's made up, there's nothing that can slow you down. She ate him again. I can see why you've made a strong impression on Seduce-sama, Rias and Milikas. Issei enjoyed the comments and ing. Oh, Grayfia-san. He ate in delight. He wanted more. She then took a free hand and guided his to her opening, the cue that he may enter. Do it, put it in me. Way ahead of you. Issei pushed past her labia and into her vagina, taking in the sudden world of that he now entered. The feeling was incredible and shocked him. This is. He felt an even greater amount of contractions and control in her. Every curve of her walls seemed to individually shape around his length. He almost shot off right away, but controlled himself. You're so big, Issei-sama. Grayfia closed her eyes and took in the sensation of being her. You wanted to do this all this time, right? Then do it. Go wild in me. She put her arms around his neck. Here I go. Issei steamed up and went into overdrive. He ate away with the untamed strength of a jackhammer, almost trying to outpace the fact that he was gonna blow any second. He moved his hips without restraint and made the bed shake rapidly. He felt indescribable the silver-haired queen of annihilation. Holy s shit. He was also squeezing her large at the same time. You're doing well, Issei-sama. Grayfia wrapped her legs around his waist. Let your get absorbed my, inch by inch. Enjoying the words that he heard from Grayfia, Issei continued to her, deep and fast, as if trying to win a non-existent competition. He felt nothing but 100% pure coursing through his entire body. Grayfia-san, why you're so gorgeous. And you're is divine. He would occasionally pull out of Grayfia's to take a small break, then he would slide it back in her. He could not find a good time to stop her. This is Grayfia-san. I'm doing this with Grayfia-san. He had always thought this devil was beyond his reach, but they were now like lovers. I'm having with Grayfia-san and she's so, herg. Damn, that's good. Issei shivered in delight as he finished shooting his huge load Grayfia's, while also feeling juice on his. Grayfia was greatly pleased with Issei's overall performance. You were fantastic, Issei-sama. You can rest now. I'm feeling a bit weak myself. Issei sighed in happiness and pulled out. He fell backwards on the bed, exhausted. Holy shit, dude. He was limp in body and alike. The bed was now broken and it looked like a twister had wrecked the room. The two of them fell asleep in each other's arms. Elsewhere and far away, Matsuda and Motohama were trying to score big themselves. And what of this dummy duo, you ask? Let's just say that they weren't having nearly as much luck in their romantic escapades. Let's make like a tree and get the hell out of here. Matsuda was running at full speed. Don't gotta tell me twice. Motohama was right behind him. From around the nearest corner, an entire gang of female bikers were chasing them down on garish motorcycles. They led the two buffoons to a closed alley. Shit, it's a dead end. Matsuda was frantic. Yeah, our end. We're dead. Motohama panicked. The gang leader approached with her crew, all armed with nail bats, lead pipes, and spiky 2x4s. So you're gonna try to hit on us? You must be new around here, 'cause we hit back. Any bright ideas? Matsuda pressed against the wall in total fear. Here's an idea. Help! Motohama's scream for someone, anyone at all to help them, echoed through the night. Never to be answered, of course. Thanks for watching this video. If you really enjoy this video, like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on that bell notification. Don't forget to support and follow the BLS 91090 for writing that awesome fanfic, and also make sure to comment on this story, link in the description. If you like to hear adult version of this and other stories, I'll give you link of my Patreon. See you in the next video. Goodbye.